Well, we finally have a date for the release of Dawntrail, and so I thought I'd sit down today and talk to you guys. Am I going to sit down and play the latest Final Fantasy XIV expansion? And for those of you who've been following my content and my weight loss journey, know that it's just actually a function of math. So I thought we'd do a little bit of math, and then ultimately I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and perspective about what Yoshi P talked about as it relates to the future of Final Fantasy, going hopefully more into an MMO kind of world, so to speak, but we'll talk about that here in the video. The simple math actually is, so for those of you who have not seen my content in a while, or YouTube is just deciding to put this into your feed, hello and welcome back. The goal that I have in order to progress the story of Final Fantasy XIV is to be under 210 pounds. Now, I started this journey at 320 pounds, and I have since officially lost over 70 pounds. Now, officially means that I don't actually weigh in all the time, so I could be technically a little bit lower at the time of this recording. We ultimately don't know, but it's put me into 248 pounds. Now, which is great about this is that I'm just 8 pounds away from the weight that I was when I actually met my now wife back when we were dating many years ago. And so that's kind of thrilling. That's kind of one milestone, but clearly that also puts me at 38 pounds to lose before I can actually progress the story. And so if we're looking at early access, which starts on June 28th, the full release is July the 2nd. To get access to early access, you got to pre-order the game. But in order to progress the story of that game and the expansion, I have to be below 210 pounds, aka 38 pounds. Now, doing the math based off of the weeks and timings, this is where it's going to be kind of close or really tough, but I think I might add in another fasting day into my kind of plan to see if I can continue to, keep up the pace that I've been keeping up. But I need to lose 2.7 pounds per week, and that's kind of tough. Namely, my current average is roughly around 7.5 pounds per month down since I started this journey back in late July. Now, I actually technically started this journey when I retired from Final Fantasy XIV, but there was a medical issue for those of you who haven't been keeping up. And that was actually one of the reasons why I got so big in the first place. I was incapable of losing weight, basically, because anything I would do would just have me gain weight. I had a testosterone massive amount of imbalance. I guess the term soy boy just makes me laugh in this case. I was absolutely just crapper testosterone, and that means my body was actually overproducing cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Turns out they're all being made in the same factory. So having solved that, the only way I was able to discover that there was a real medical issue was obviously stepping away from Final Fantasy XIV, and I made a video about it. Many of you guys watched it. Many of you didn't, and you made assumptions based off the video. I don't judge you. It is the age that we live in. But when it's all said and done, the first focus was on my family, and that includes my health, obviously focusing on my weight. So I stopped playing video games, and I ultimately went to the gym every day, every morning, 4:30 in the morning, nonstop, crushing it, and kept gaining weight. Still really focusing on my diet. So I was able to take all of my data to my doctor and convince him that he actually needed to run some additional tests on me. And that's how we actually discovered the problem. Nobody believed that I had or could ever, people are usually shocked. They're like, oh, you had low testosterone? Well, turns out low testosterone leads to a lot of problems, especially in men as we get older, namely lots of anxiety, bad sleep, lots of fatigue, and so many other issues that I was dealing with privately that I was never really sharing with you guys in videos because it didn't really seem to make sense. So having fixed all of that, my body now is doing exactly what my body should do. And that is essentially what leads us here to the kind of mathematical question. So if I'm able to lose 2.7 pounds per week, I'll be able to be under 210 pounds by the time Dawntrail releases on the 28th. So wish me luck. It seems rather substantial. And again, my focus is doing this in a very healthy and, kind of approach, because it's not about a temporary loss, because I can't play Final Fantasy XIV if I get over 210. Like, I won't be able to. I'll have to stop, because it's more important to maintain that, and I need to maintain the weight loss at least off for 3 years before I can I think really relax in how I eat and what kind of exercise I do. And that's ultimately the most important thing, because that's just going to make me a better dad. And that's really the goal. That's why I think I do many things that I do, is the hope, because it makes me a better dad and it gives me more time with the children. So that's exactly what I want to say on regards to that. So I will have my next official weigh-in on April the 5th, and we're going to see where I'm at. That's where also I get the blood work done, get to see how everything's feeling and crushing it, hopefully. Make sure there's not any, other health issues. We had a couple of other health scares in the last couple years, but all that's been taken care of and things are looking good, which I'm excited to share. Now, if I'm able to do that, yes, I'm going to be jumping right into Dawntrail on the 28th. If I'm not able to make that, I won't progress the story, but I'm going to go check out the new jobs. Clearly, I'm really excited about Pumancer. We want to see how that plays and how it feels. It felt a little comical from how they presented it to us back at the different fan fests. But outside of that comic relief in a way, I really hope that it actually is a really fun job to play, because I love Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI is one of the most important Final Fantasies to me as a gamer, and I look and I'm glad to see that they're bringing in the Pumancer into the world of Final Fantasy. We haven't seen that job in the game in the series in a long time, so that's thrilling. Now, I said I wanted to talk also about Yoshi P, his kind of keynote in a way. Obviously, the collector's edition, cool stuff. I don't know if I'm going to get the digital collector's edition. If I don't, this will be the first digital collector's edition that I don't get, but it's only $60, so it kind of feels like kind of an easy layup. Maybe what I'll end up doing is just getting the complete edition, I don't know, one of the big versions on X. That'd be way too much money. I can just get the complete edition and then just pick up Dawntrail on Xbox, and then I'm good to go there. So if I don't make it, I'm gonna focus in on leveling up the different jobs and deciding to put a couple of controller guides together for y'all. I don't know, and I'm not gonna commit to doing every controller guide for Dawntrail. That's a lot of jobs, it's a lot of work, and that's one of the things that was just causing a lot of stress around the game, and the game's supposed to be fun, right? So I'm going to play Dawntrail like Yoshi P recommends. I'm gonna pick it up, play it, and as soon as I'm satisfied with that playtime, I'm going to set it down again, and then I will wait until the next expansion in order to pick it back up. And I think that's going to be the most healthy thing that I can do for me, my family, and more. But until I hit that below 210, the story will remain locked where it was when I left it in patch 6.2, I think 6.2. And so that's where I'm kind of going to be locked in. And then once I'm below that, I will can pick up the story where I left off and then jump into the expansion. And that's going to be what I'm excited about. Now, Yoshi P talked also about how the date, and it's such a minor thing, but it was just something that I just kind of thought about. I've seen a couple other people talking about it online as well, is that they wanted to release the game a week early, but he thought it would be better to delay it a week for Elden Ring's DLC. And honestly, I would get away from Elden, I think that's a smart business move. But I also think that he needed another week regardless, because, when it comes down to the dates and stuff, even still, people are wanting to play Dawntrail, and people have been waiting a long time. So I think it's a unique excuse, and I don't blame him for it. It's a smart business move. It's cute, that kind of I also want to play the DLC, but he'll probably also be really, really busy prior to that. I don't know if he will get time to play the DLC, and I would almost expect that maybe there'll be another interview in which he's like, what do you do whenever after the game's launched? He's like, I'm gonna go play some Elden Ring DLC or something like that. But that's really splitting hairs and completely beyond the point. I just didn't feel like that was I was like, all right. If you need more time, you have it. We want you to release the game in a really good state and not have what we saw with Endwalker happen again. That leads me into the MMO side of things. I have my biggest critiques of Final Fantasy XIV, which upset a lot of people, are driven off of that I want more MMO in this game. I don't knock them for single player stuff. In fact, I highly encourage it. But I find some implementations lacking. Namely, the one change that I would make as a priority change, or one piece of feedback to the devs that I make as a priority, is I wish the trust system had a mix and match, meaning if my daughter wants to start playing Final Fantasy XIV, she has to play it solo, or we have to play it with strangers, or we have to get a 4-person team together. And I would rather just be kind of me and her playing side by side, and then bringing in trusts to cover the spread so we don't necessarily have to interact with anybody online, namely to protect her, but also to not necessarily ruin anybody's experience when playing. And we've seen that happen. I've seen it happen firsthand with my wife being bullied by the community, and that's not acceptable. And I'm not going to let, my kids experience this game when that's a reality. But yes, I know this game is an MMO. It isn't for kids, and online interactions can't be rated by the ESRB, but definitely should be considered as something to avoid, especially for the young and the impressionable. But when all that's being said, like, that's one thing that I want to see, and meaning that it's like it allows for a lot more flexibility within the architecture that they've put in place for the trust system. Now, then as a gamer, as somebody who wants MMOs, like, I'd love to see them redo, and reinvest in gear. They talked about adding in more resources around the 7.3 patch timeframe, and that's cool. Yes, that's really good news, but most likely it's just going to end up being glamour stuff that you can go and seek. And for the glamour seeking community, cool. I don't want to take that away from you. I just wish that there was something that when it comes to that level of investment in terms of rewards and things to go after, that there was some kind of add-on effect that maybe applied to a certain mode within the game. And again, I bring up this as an example. I think the Relic system could really benefit from traits where those traits only applied to something like the Deep Dungeon or something like Bozja and Zadnor. The fact that we're getting another exploratory zone sounds great. And honestly, with the excitement and the return to Final Fantasy XIV, I'm probably going to go spend this time in Eureka. I really enjoyed my experience, and it made me go play Final Fantasy XI, which I love and adore, and I wish Square Enix would do something with it. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about them adding into this expansion is the echoes of Vana'diel. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But that, the heart wants what it wants, and that's just not going to change. And I'd love to see more reasons to go after certain things that already exist in the game, and then use those certain things without breaking the raid. I think you segment off anything that a unique piece of gear could add to your player profile, and you don't let that, that does not impact the raid. It doesn't do anything for you here. It's this siloed piece of content, and then you can kind of have your own little sandbox and playground and experiment zone. And that's what the exploratory zones have become. And so I'm really excited that they're bringing one back. I just hope that it isn't at the cost of a deep dungeon. I think when it's all said and done, if we were able to get a deep dungeon and exploratory zone every single expansion, I think that there would be a level of satisfaction that's implied in those different things. But anyway, guys, I think I've rambled long enough. Thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this video. Hit that like button if you want to support the content. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care.